It takes a lot of effort in this day and age to start a brand on Amazon, and some people may be looking for really quick ways to either fasten the pace or skip the line entirely when building a brand on the platform. Well, one of the easiest ways to go about that is just purchase an already relevant and selling brand. There are tons of them to purchase. People are selling brands and their entire businesses that are mainly on Amazon every single day, doing anywhere from, $0 right now all the way up to millions upon millions. So you can purchase a lot of different brands and a lot of different accounts on the platform. But before you move forward with any form of purchase, there are some things that you definitely should be looking at on the account to fully understand the scope of what it is you're getting into and really understand where you're going to be running into some potential issues and how to mitigate that down the road. So, first and foremost, what I'm always going to say is you should definitely check out the account health, understanding and seeing on the account health what has been going on, see if there are any current complaints or violations that are happening, see if the account is deactivated in any way. This is going to be very pinnacle to really getting an understanding of the right now for the account. Now, this isn't always going to be great from the aspect of maybe there is nothing going on right now and you don't really know what is going to be going on the account. So, in that scenario, you should be going after the performance notifications. The performance notifications will give you a really good understanding from a date range spanning, way back as to what actually has happened on this account. You can see from the performance notifications if there have been deactivations, if there are patent claims, if they're constantly running into compliance issues with their products and listings. This will give you a really, really good understanding overall of what the account has been through in the last 2 years. If you see a lot of different notifications here saying things such as deactivation, see, if there are specific compliance issues, etc., it gives you really the standstill to know, okay, hey, this is what I'm probably going to be facing as I am going through this, and this is what I'm going to be facing moving forward. It is very unlikely that you purchase a brand and all of a sudden all the problems the brand previously had just poof go away. So, these are the first two areas that I'm always going to suggest that people look at and make sure that they get an understanding of what it is they're actually getting into. After that, as well, what I would definitely recommend most people look at is the overall actually transaction view. So, this is where if you are wanting to actually understand the overarching what are the numbers on the account, this is where you want to go. You want to actually see the transaction view. You should be requesting a transaction view and a disbursement view statements for at least 12 months, if not 24 months prior of any brand you are looking at purchasing. This is because a lot of people, a lot of times on marketplaces, anything like that, they'll say, oh, we're doing $600,000 a year. Well, that $600,000 a year doesn't include fees, it doesn't include the actual COGS, it doesn't include anything whatsoever. But you want to be able to get straight numbers from Amazon, understanding what the business is actually doing. So if you're not able to get this from a seller, it's a very, very fishy red flag that I would be watching out for. I see it very often where people don't actually see the actual financials and the numbers from the people that they're trying to purchase from. Now, after that as well, what I would definitely look at doing is look at the brand. Make sure that come down here and make sure that the actual brand itself is registered. Make sure that you have a registration with brand and that you're not going to run into any issues down the line of, for instance, having, brand registry just yanked out from under you. I see it very often where people, for some reason, think that because there is a pending registration for the brand, they're never going to have any issues with it if they're currently brand registered, which is not the case. You do not want to be purchasing any kind of brand or any type of business if it does not already have a fully trademarked and registered brand name. Why? Because Amazon will grant you the privilege of brand registry with pending trademark approval. This is something that I see quite often and we use all the time. It allows you to create your listings under your brand name. But then a big issue that comes down is where that pending trademark approval turns into a denial, and then Amazon goes ahead and yanks away that brand registry. And guess what? Now you're just left with a bunch of listings that don't actually have any form of brand registry, and you're going to have a real problem down the road. So, let's say that you've checked all of these boxes. Everything looks great. Everything looks fantastic. You are ready to rock and roll and move forward with a purchase. Okay. How do you actually go about transferring an account? Is that something Amazon even allows? It technically is. Amazon used to have some rules and regulations around selling accounts, and they didn't like the idea of people selling accounts on Amazon. So it's much more of a gray area to buy the full business from someone or do something like an asset transfer for the Amazon account. This is much more common in this day and age. In the past, Amazon tried to fully just suspend people when they did it. Turns out that, that led them into some hot water with a few lawsuits that they realized they can't say no to someone trying to sell their whole business. So instead, what does Amazon do? Well, they make it kind of annoying for you to try and go ahead and actually do the full transfer. So what you have to actually do when you are first and foremost going through the transfer process is actually pretty simple. You just have to head on over and create a support ticket. So first thing I always tell everyone to do, get over to the support page, come over to my issue is not listed at the bottom here. And then here, all you're going to say is something along the lines of, I have sold the business and will be doing a transfer of some account information. Simple as that. I tell people to put this in and put this case into seller support because this is going to let Amazon understand and know that you are doing it. 9 times out of 10, you are going to get a thumbs up from Amazon saying, hey, thank you for letting us know. We will go ahead and mark that down. What this does essentially makes it so once you start changing some of the information on the account, you're really not going to have as difficult of a time as you may initially think when Amazon might accidentally deactivate an account if you don't do this. I have had no issues whatsoever with doing this typically, and Amazon usually, like I said, will just give the thumbs up and you'll be good to go from there. Now, once you go through that process, what we're going to do is we're actually going to come up here. We're going to go to our account info. So you can come up to this, go to the account info. There's some specific areas that you're going to have to be changing information. First and foremost would be under account management. You are going to be changing your login settings. So whoever, whether it's you or someone else who's purchasing from you, you're going to have to change the name, email, password, and security settings for the main owner account. Now, when you go about and do this, I would always advise that whoever is going to be the changed email for this is added as an admin user at least 1 to 2 weeks prior onto the account. This will help stage off any red flags and deactivations that Amazon might have. You're still likely to have some form of inform verification where you're going to have to submit ID and everything, but it will still help to have that email on there for at least 1 to 2 weeks prior. Now, secondarily, you'll want to change all of your notification preferences. This will just be going into the notification preferences, changing the email that all notifications go to. Typically, people have this as the same as the admin email here. So if you want to do this at the same time, that would be perfect. Next, tax information. So under your tax information, there are a few different sections. The ones that are going to be most important really come down to where you sell. If you are a US only seller, you're typically just going to have to change this right here, which is your tax information. If you are doing a full business purchase, which includes the EIN of the business, you do not need to change this information. But if you are only doing an asset transfer, so you are just purchasing the actual Amazon account, inventory, etc., then and you have your own EIN that you're going to be operating under, you need to update it here. Secondarily to that would be VAT information. If it is selling in foreign marketplaces in Europe, then you're also going to have to update the VAT information as well. Next, we're going to update the shipping and returns information. So when you come here, there's a few different areas that you're going to change. So specifically, the number one would be the return address. If you have a 3PL that let's say you're going to be working with because that's what the previous owner was working with, that's perfect. Keep the address as is, no worries whatsoever. However, if you have a new address, new warehouse, new whatever, you need to change your return address. You can remove the old address only after you have verification that this new return address works. Next is business information. Business information, we have a lot of different sections here. that you're going to be wanting to look at to change. So business address, phone number. Again, are you going to be using a new business address or not? This depends on if you are purchasing the actual business, the LLC, or if you're going to be using your own new LLC. If you're using your own new LLC, you need to change the business address. Same thing for phone number. Most of the time, the phone number is going to be hooked up to the previous owner. Just make sure that you have a new phone number ready to go to put in here. Same with official registry address, same exact principle as the business address. You will not do anything with the merchant token, that is Amazon's own. Past that, business insurance. If a business on Amazon is doing over $10,000 in sales per year, then it will have to have per month, it will have to have business insurance. So for business insurance, just make sure that that's updated to whatever LLC you're going to be having on the account. Next, brands. We already went over that earlier with the idea of brand registry. And then finally, legal entity. So again, if you are keeping the LLC, if you are doing a full business purchase, no issue, and you do not need to change anything here. However, if you are using a new LLC, you will need to change that here. Next, we'll go over to payment information. So payment information is the one tricky area here that I have a little stipulation on. Stipulation number one would be under deposit methods. So when you are going to change your deposit method, I am always going to suggest that you wait until the most recent disbursement. The reason is that deposit methods, changing them can typically make Amazon hold any and all payments and payouts on the account for up to a few weeks, sometimes even a month, I have seen. So if you're going to be changing deposit methods, which you likely will, then I would suggest you wait until the most recent disbursement to do so. Secondarily to that, I would do the same for charge methods. And when you do these, you want to make sure that you do not remove the old bank account or any old charge methods until after you have 100% certainty that both of these have been verified by Amazon and are approved on the account to be the primary deposit method and the primary charge method. Once you have that approval and verification, then you can go ahead and remove the old charge method and deposit method. Now, from here as well, we have our store info. You're not going to have a ton under here. It's just your seller profile and nothing you'll need to do. So after you've gone through all of this, what I would suggest as some primary key points, change every single one of these aspects at the same exact time. The reason for this is that each one of these different aspects can come with a different level of verification that Amazon's going to be doing because of things like the Inform Act that we saw earlier. So it's going to be better interest for you to actually do them all at once so that if you have to verify all of them, you can just submit all of that data and there's less chance that the account will be deactivated right after you end up doing a transfer and a purchase. Secondarily to that as well, what I'm always going to suggest is if you're going to be buying from someone, make sure it is stipulated that they have to stay on with you for at least a month or at least be available for any excess verification that may be needed and just any issues in general. Now, finally, the biggest issue that I see with people who fail verifications of any kind, whether it's for account transfer, Inform Act, anything, is having the wrong address. And I don't mean that in the sense of is completely wrong. You can have an address that is 123 capital N North Street and 123 lowercase n North Street, and that is enough to where Amazon says it does not match and does not meet verification. So make sure your address information is correct. Dot your T's, cross your I's, make sure everything is capitalized the exact same way. But past that, transferring an account on Amazon in this day and age is actually very, very simple and shouldn't be that much of a headache as long as you follow all these steps pretty well. But hopefully this helps a little bit, and happy selling.